technology. Right, so you're welcome back from the break. This is the bottom line. And I've told you already on that tonight we are talking about technology and the advanced form of technology. We call it the artificial intelligence, popularly known by a lot of people as AI. It's being used by a lot of people in the workplaces, and some people are forecasting how it is going to impact our work environment, going to impact our daily lives, going to impact our economies, going to impact continents and so on and so forth. And so it is important that we take particular look at it. If you are engaged in any AI activity tonight, you want to put up whether you have a question, whether you have a concern, whether you have anything you want to share with us on our number, which will be on the screen pretty shortly. Please, you are not allowed to call. You can only send us WhatsApp messages. If you're engaged in any AI activity, or if you want to learn more, tonight would be a learning curve for us. So the number will be on the screen pretty shortly. And my guest tonight is a marketing consultant. He is a communications consultant and also a technology consultant. Stephen Boadi is my guest tonight. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us, Steve.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me.
I hope you're doing very well.
I'm good.
So we set a topic for ourselves, artificial intelligence and how it will be working in the near future within the place of work. We'll be coming to that. But I remember when computers started coming to Ghana, and some people were enthused about it, and how others were maybe out of ignorance also against it. Then we came to a time that we got social media. We had some religious entities coming up against social media. Others also saying, no, it's a tool for proper communications, proper marketing, proper branding, and so on and so forth. For you as an expert, we want to learn. Has the internet been good? Not internet. Let me begin with technology. Been good or bad? Then we'll come to internet, and then we'll move on to AI.
Thank you very much. And thank you also for, starting with this topic. One of the things I like to say is that technology, like most things, is an enabler. By that, what I mean is technology enables us as human beings to do things in a more efficient way, sometimes quicker, with more speed, various, things that we want to do. So, to a large extent, technology has been good, okay? The challenge is sometimes how we use technology. So I often use this word, embrace. By embrace, I mean you need to welcome technology and use it as a friend. So make it a part of what you do. It enables you to do more things. For example, this program that we are airing now, way back, people would not have been able to watch a playback. But today, because of technology, people can watch it on a playback from wherever. They may be watching on social media, wherever. So that's the good part about technology. There are things also about technology that are bad. So, for example, people can even say things like sharing content that's abusive, for example, or people overusing technology. So these days, you go to dinner with friends, you're sitting at the table, people are on their phones. So it's kind of like limiting the kind of human interpersonal engagement that we have.
Your wife or even your family member. You have both left the home to attend the program where you are supposed to at least interact, and you still go and be on your phones there.
Yeah, because you're connected with people all over, and they don't know what you're doing. So it's up to you sometimes to keep people informed. I often say this: when you're going into it, I am a consultant, so I tend to have a lot of calls, or most of the time on my phone. I always tell people, if I'm going into a meeting, if there are people I know could be, calling me, I'll just send messages to them that for the next hour or whatever, I'll be in a meeting. Or when I was getting on this show, because I knew that I couldn't use my phone, people that I know would probably go, I need to review stuff with, told them between 8 and 9 o'clock,
I will be busy.
I'll be busy. So I can put my phone on silent or whatever. And we need to help people also, where people are in such circumstances. One of the things we don't do in Ghana is we don't know what's called missed call. So people keep calling. So those are elements of technology. It means you can't run away. There are people who, before technology, we all worked 9 to 5. Today, you can't run away from work.
12 a.m.
Emails keep coming, WhatsApp groups, all sorts. So, yeah.
But so I mean, you are not able to say, I mean, emphatically whether it's good or bad.
No, it
Once
can't be
it's
either
an
good or
enabler,
bad.
so-
It's both. It's down to how you use technology. That's why I say technology is an enabler. It enables you to do things better in a smarter way, more efficiently. I'll give another example as a marketing person. Before the introduction of the internet, if you were driving down the N1 and you saw a billboard, the visibility of the reach of the billboard would only be limited to people who are driving on the N1. Today, you have a website, Metro TV. The minute that billboard, that creative is put on that website, anybody around the world can see it.
I agree.
In the middle of the night, can engage with you. So those are
But do you think we have used it? I want to come down to a part of the world, maybe
Yes.
in Africa or in Ghana. We have used it well, the technology.
To an extent. We still need a lot of education. This is what I call digital adoption.
That's the point I'm coming
The
to.
adoption should include a lot of proper education, proper orientation of people, how they should use these things. I mean, I'll give another example. These days, because of the huge penetration of smartphones, your grandma in the village has a smartphone. And she'll send you news videos, junk videos that you've seen over 10 times. She doesn't realize. She's circulating them. You create WhatsApp groups for work. People will put all sorts of junk stuff into the group because they feel, me too, I want to share it. They don't realize that we need to use them in more professional and more effective ways than. So we need a bit of education always.
There's a question that's just coming from Honorable Chris Arthur in the Agona West constituency. He says that one thing we haven't done very well in our part of the world is regulation of technology. Do you agree to that?
That's another part.
You agree?
I agree to an extent. You see, the reality, and it's not just in Ghana, that's why I say to an extent, even in the States. I'm sure you've seen pictures of people like Mark Zuckerberg and the rest sitting in front of the Senate, and the senators are asking them questions.
Exactly.
You kind of feel the senators don't even know what's going on. The developers and the techie people are always a step ahead of the legal regime and the government and all sorts of people. So we need a bit also of self-regulation from the developers, from the technology side, which you always don't do. It's often influenced by business needs. That's why Mark Zuckerberg, for example, Facebook has had a lot of backlash because it's all about raking in the money. You go onto your timeline, these days you see more ads and more promos from brands than you see posts from your friends. But that's not what it's designed for.
But why don't we move into the arena? I mean, the question from Chris Arthur is very important. That if we are not regulating the space and people can do anything with it, people can take maybe naked pictures of others who have been in relationships before and decide to blackmail them. And we have institutions that are supposed to be in charge of our technological setups who are not going into the space. Then we have a problem.
Yeah, that's why I said we need a bit of self-regulation. So, for example, we're going to talk about AI. One of the conversations going on about AI, for example, now is people like Elon Musk and the rest who are hugely involved there are asking for a bit of, a slowdown of the pace. Because if we're not careful, there are ethical issues there. Okay, so you need self-regulation. Number two, also, we need enough laws to regulate that. I'm sure, again, you are a big journalist. You've heard about Cambridge Analytica, where in 2016, for example, Facebook allowed a company to have access to some data about, and they use in the American election, targeting them with ads and stuff. That was unethical. It was a breach of data protection. But there was no law then. That was because sometimes people feel that what happens online is not, regulated by the laws in real life. I'll give another example. Last week I was running a training somewhere. That's what we call bullying at the workplace and stuff.
Exactly.
And these days, the bullying happens online. Cyberbullying, body shaming, all of that. Now, you go to a lot of companies, they have codes of ethics for the company. But it doesn't include what you do online. But the trend now is that for every company, if you're going to have a policy for anti-bullying and stuff in the workplace harassment, it should include what you put online. Because you could have a co-worker here, you don't say it to their face, but you go online and post things about them. You may say that, well, it's my own space. No, you can't have that. It needs to be regulated. So we need to also think ahead and introduce more laws. So like Honorable, for example, if he's an MP or whatever, he's going to say, people like him need to speak out. They pass these laws. They need to act quickly and get themselves informed as well. They need to learn a lot more.
So I want to now move into the terrain of AI. With all of these problems, I'll come back to ask you what AI is. Do you think we have arrived as a country, Ghana, and maybe as a continent, West Africa, Africa, and so on, to be engaging in AI?
We can't ignore it. We're there, okay? It's here, and we can't ignore it because it's a global space. The challenge is how quickly can we catch up? So, I mean, you and I, let me just, you and I know that until about October last year, AI wasn't as big as today. Yes. All of a sudden, they dropped ChatGPT and everybody was talking about it. Today, people are even saying that, I'm a consultant, for example. People tell me, I don't need a marketing strategy. ChatGPT can give me a marketing strategy.
You just type in what you want.
Whatever you want,
and then they give it to you.
But is that the proper way of doing it? As we will learn today, as we will talk about today, you need to always validate whatever you get because they are generative, systems, okay? So the prompt that you put in gives you the results that you want. It would never be, and I know this is controversial, it will never be as comprehensive and as accurate as the human intelligence. So you need, whatever it gives, you need to validate it.
Let me, that statement is very, very instructive. It will never be as accurate as human intelligence. Let me come back. Let me bring you back a bit to ask you what exactly, for the lay people that are watching us, our technological space is not developed. Like, we still have a number of people who are not even on smartphones and so on and so forth. Probably people who may be watching us on TV and don't know what AI is. We are talking about ChatGPT and all of them.
Yeah.
What is AI?
So I'll just do a couple of definitions.
So let me allow you to flow now with all the things you have.
Sure.
And then I'll come back later on to ask
No, that's fine. Let's have a conversation.
Right.
I want to just get a technical definition in here. I mean, there's so many definitions.
That's fine.
One of them that I have and I like is that it says, and it's from Britannica. Britannica is like an encyclopedia. Okay. So it says, the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with human intelligence or intelligent beings. So it's computers and computer-controlled robots that are doing it now. And they are kind of like performing tasks that a human intelligence should be able to do. So for example, this conversation we're having, okay, it could be an AI interviewing me because it's programmed with the intelligence to be able to feed off the things I'm saying, be able to ask questions like that. So it's acting like
a human
being, the intelligence. That's simply, what is? I'll give you another explanation. Okay. So it has become a catch term to describe any advancement in computing, systems, and technology in which computer programs can perform tasks or solve problems that require the kind of reasoning we associate with human intelligence, even learning from past processes. So, for example, we can learn from the things that happen. And we've got AI all around us. Okay? For example, even Google Maps, spam filters in emails, things like these are all elements of AI.
But Google Map can still get you lost to wherever you're going. I've used Google Map and there are certain places and certain times I get lost.
I'll give you an example. I live at Westlands. When they did the road, the Gimpa bypass.
Yeah.
He used to always insist that the Google Map and Waze used to insist that I use the Fiesta Royale. He didn't know there was the other bypass which goes around the NIA or wherever. For example. So sometimes you have to disobey the system, and then eventually it learns. Remember I said learning. So it learns from...
After you have disobeyed and used the route, it will learn that there is a new route here. And then it picks it up and that's it.
So it's got that intelligence. You get what I mean?
I get it.
So that's critical. And this is why it's important that we always feed in the right data and also make sure that then it's kind of like updated. Because the other thing also, and I'm sure people will tell you who have used ChatGPT, sometimes it gives even wrong answers.
That's what I was going to ask. Can you feed it wrong with wrong information?
Yeah.
Such that they will give wrong answers to people who are finding data or looking for information
and that's one of the risks. Okay, because, I've known you from afar. we've never met, but I could have fed in a lot of data about you, all sorts. And because I published so much data online about you, eventually, when people search about you and we're doing research about you, some of those bad stuff will come up. But that's what's available. That's the data that's available.
Wow. And
these are some of the ethical concerns that we need to have. Yeah.
Somebody says, I'll come back to it, but somebody says, I think the education is the issue, as in the current SIM registration exercise. That is a huge data breach, yet our government and honorable let it slide due to politics. So, Honorable only put a question and is suggesting, Honorable Chris Atta has suggested that we need to enforce regulation. And somebody is attacking him. He says that Honorable let it slide due to politics, but education is really, really needed. Name is George Amuzu, Hatfield, in the UK.
Yeah. So for example, this data, SIM registration thing, for example, it's important that we all register our SIM. Okay, but we haven't done enough education, so people feel they are being cajoled and being rushed into registering their SIMs, and we can't guarantee the security of our data because you're a journalist, and this is not doing politics. We don't have enough information about where our data is being stored and the security of our data. That's one of the challenges. The idea of registering our SIMs is not bad. I've lived elsewhere. I could be driving. The police just see me, they key in the registration of my car, and obviously they will see my address, they will see all sorts of information about me because it's all big data, it's all integrated and all sorts. Okay. Unfortunately, we haven't done enough communication about this. And sometimes I blame people in my industry, the marketing and communication. We don't communicate enough, we don't communicate the right things. We don't educate people enough about the things that we're introducing, including technology. So there's a bit of fear.
For anybody watching us, and one of the questions that I've had, this one, Biney says, this is an area I look forward to master in. But can you give us practical ways in which AI is used?
Okay. Okay, I can run through some examples.
Right. I'm here.
There's a video that I wanted them to play. If they can play it, if not, we can make progress.
So, Control, if we have the video, all right. So, does it have sound?
Picture this: a machine that could. All right.
So let's start the video again.
Just picture this: a machine that could organize your cupboard just as you like it, or serve every member of the house a customized cup of coffee. Makes your day easier, doesn't it? These are the products of artificial intelligence. But why use the term artificial intelligence? Well, these machines are artificially incorporated with human-like intelligence to perform tasks as we do. This intelligence is built using complex algorithms and mathematical functions. But AI may not be as obvious as in the previous examples. In fact, AI is used in smartphones, cars, social media feeds, video games, banking, surveillance, and many other aspects of our daily life. The real question is, what does an AI do at its core? Here is a robot we built in our lab, which is now dropped onto a field. In spite of a variation in lighting, landscape, and dimensions of the field, the AI robot must perform as expected. This ability to react appropriately to a new situation is called generalized learning. The robot is now at a crossroad, one that is paved and the other rocky. The robot must determine which path to take based on the circumstances. This portrays the robot's reasoning ability. After a short stroll, the robot now encounters a stream that it cannot swim across. Using the plank provided as an input, the robot is able to cross this stream. So, our robot uses the given input and finds the solution for a problem. This is problem solving. These three capabilities make the robot artificially intelligent. In short, AI provides machines with the capability to adapt, reason, and provide solutions. Well, now that we know what AI is, let's have a look at the two broad categories an AI is classified into. Weak AI, also called narrow AI, focuses solely on one task. For example, AlphaGo is a maestro of the game Go, but you can't expect it to be even remotely good at chess. This makes AlphaGo a weak AI. You might say Alexa is definitely not a weak AI, since it can perform multiple tasks. Well, that's not really true. When you ask Alexa to play Despacito, it picks up the keywords play and Despacito and runs a program it is trained to. Alexa cannot respond to a question it isn't trained to answer. For instance, try asking Alexa the status of traffic from work to home. Alexa cannot provide you this information, as she is not trained to. And that brings us to our second category of AI, strong AI. Now, this is much like the robots that only exist in fiction as of now. Ultron from Avengers is an ideal example of a strong AI. That's because it's self-aware and eventually even develops emotions. This makes the AI's response unpredictable. You must be wondering, well, how is artificial intelligence different from machine learning and deep learning? We saw what AI is. Machine learning is a technique to achieve AI, and deep learning, in turn, is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning provides a machine with the capability to learn from data and experience through algorithms. Deep learning does this learning through ways inspired by the human brain. This means through deep learning, data and patterns can be better perceived. Ray Kurzweil, a well-known futurist, predicts that by the year 2045, we would have robots as smart as humans. This is called the point of singularity. Well, that's not all. In fact, Elon Musk predicts that the human mind and body will be enhanced by AI implants, which would make us partly cyborgs. So, here's a question for you. Which of the below AI projects don't exist yet? A. An AI robot with citizenship. B. A robot with a muscular skeletal system. C. AI that can read its owner's emotions.
Let me just come back to you on that same question again, and then some of the things I had jotted down will get
All
better.
right. So for you asked for some examples. I mean, it's been used in a lot of. I've talked about even social media, your timeline, your news feed, for example. That's there. In banking, for example,
Yes.
a lot of assessment. So people apply for loans, for example, and some banks now in Europe and other places use AI to do the assessment, so that it will determine whether or not the person qualifies for
To check your credit worthiness?
It assess the risks element.
Your risk element?
Yeah.
The AI does that?
Yeah. I'll give you another one. Since, I just got my makeup done.
Right.
For example, there's a tool called, Makeup Genius, for example, which was introduced by L'Oreal. It's an app. So you take a mug shot of your face, you upload it, and then you'll be able to apply different makeup samples on it. Once you've done that, okay, then it's stored. Then you can order it directly. But it looks at your face, because people who do makeup will tell you, you need to understand your face. You need to do it properly. Again, we'll talk about HR, for example.
And it does the makeup for you the way you want
It doesn't
it?
do the makeup for you, but it will tell you the products to use.
Which to use,
They
okay,
do
all right.
codes,
All
for
right.
example. They will say,
All right.
use this color shade, this and that. They do that for you. In HR, for example, for a lot of recruitment, AI tools are used to sift through the CVs, for example. Even medicine, for a lot of diagnosis, we use AI, for example. Even in creative design, which has become very common. There's a tool called Looker, which last week I was talking about. We'll do all your branding, your logo and everything. Just key in things about your industry and things like that. Cybersecurity. So it's all around us.
AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
And that answers the question that I began with. Are we ready yet as a country to engage in AI? And some people had spoken about the fact that we're a primitive economy, and there are things we should have done and still do now. You start from the basics of agric, maybe get to the basics of industrialization before you come to the service economy, and now get into technology proper. But we have jumped right when we are not even strong on agric to technology. There is still a gap.
See, unfortunately, with technology, there are no boundaries.
Yes.
So we're already there. The world is already there. It's about how quickly we can catch up with what's going on, because we can't be behind what's going on. And that's why the education is important. And that's why you hear a lot about, even in our schools now, they talk about a lot more about science and technology learning and all those things. because it needs to be part of what we're taught in school.
Somebody has just sent a text that, yes, you can talk to Alexa, but when you lose your teeth, Alexa will not be able to understand you anymore.
Because it probably doesn't understand, the accent and things like that, yeah.
I'll take a quick break. I'm still getting lots of messages. When I come back from the break, a very quick one, I will be asking you the challenges generally, which probably have come. And some of the research, there is a research which is warning that it may displace humanity. Whether you agree to that and what should be the way forward, you say that we're already in the space. So we should rather be finding solutions instead of running away from it. This is the bottom line. You are watching Stephen Boadi, who is a marketing, communications, and technology consultant, taking us through AI and how we can use it as a country. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is still the bottom line. Someone just sent a text that, hi, please, I'm Samuel. Please, he just mentioned an AI software for designs. I didn't get the name well. Please, you have to sit down and create your own designs. So you're waiting for the apps to create the designs for you. But let me come back to whether it's good for us as human beings. There is a research that it may displace humanity.
Okay, we'll come to that. So let's start with me some positive, but maybe let's answer this person.
The question first.
It's called Looka, L-O-O-K-A. Okay, if he goes online, L-O-O-K-A, Looka.
All right.
Okay. Now, so let's talk about some positives. Like I said earlier, the word I like to use when it comes to technology is enabler. So the challenges that traditional, poses, technology sometimes enables us to be able to overcome them. I use the example of the ad on the N1, for example, and how you get more reach by putting it online. In the same way, talking about the workplace, the use of AI enables us to be more efficient, more productive. We can make more data-driven decisions, and that's very key. For example, there's very limited trial and error, but there's data to make decisions at the workplace on, for example. It can be cost-saving as well, okay? And it's speed, accuracy, and all those things. Yes, to answer your question, there are challenges, okay? And most of them are basically ethical, for example, including the fact that we may lose some people, will lose their jobs and all that. It's a question that will come look at it. The challenge is that because people are not informed enough about AI, there are comments made that, for example, maybe human beings will be extinct, human beings will be replaced and all those things. I don't believe that.
You don't believe human beings will be replaced?
In fact, the future I foresee is not one of humans or computers, or humans or technology, but it's humans and technology. But it's not all, but and.
There's always been a competition between humanity and technology. I'll give you an example. I am in the media industry.
Yes.
You see there's robotic cameras in
yes.
here. Some years back, few years back,
human beings were
just about 5 or 6 years back. You would have cameramen standing behind all of these cameras. But now we have just about 2 people in the studio, and then about 3 or 4 people in the control room, and they are controlling all of these cameras. All of these people have been displaced. Their jobs, they have lost them.
Well, that's true. And that leads me to what we need to do. It's upskilling and reskilling. So, for example, the people have been replaced. It's because maybe they couldn't find themselves relevant in the new era where we're using more technology. That's unfortunate. The example I often give is when computers were introduced at the ministries and other places, all of a sudden we didn't need typists because documents were stored, they were saved. So you didn't need the same letter, you didn't need somebody to type it every day. But the people that were smart and decided to learn about computing, they used to call word perfect. Who did it? They kept their jobs. So that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, there are going to be some job losses. But ultimately, the research will also tell you that, and I'll tell you this, from the World Economic Forum, the workplace, what they call the Future of Work report, for example, it says that 83 million jobs are set to disappear in the next 5 years. That's scary.
83 million.
If you look at just that, 83 million jobs, okay?
That's about almost three times the size of Ghana.
Yeah. Now, the bit that they put is the low-skill work is most at risk from AI. Low-skill work. So, like, people who are just, excuse me, to standing there and moving the camera.
Africa and Asia are mostly at risk. So, we have to be very much concerned.
Yeah. But it will ultimately have a net positive effect with development set to create 69 million new jobs by 2027. So that's the catch in there. You need to look at the balance. Okay? And like I said, people need to upskill and reskill. If you don't train yourself, you can't do that. I'm sure, you're here, and years ago, people would have been reading the messages and speaking into your ear. But here, you are here and you're interacting and doing all sorts. Okay? Because the way that maybe when you went to journalism school, you were trained. You were not trained to even be very digital. But today, you've retrained yourself, upskilled, so you can do that. And that's what needs to happen.
So, somebody also says it will make people lazy. For example, self-driving cars coming in, and drivers don't have to think anymore. When they are getting into traffic lights, people will just be sleeping in cars and key in where they have to go.
Not just self-driving cars, even lazy students. I know people are just going to ChatGPT to get information for their dissertation or sorts. So they are lazy people. The caveat I always put in there is that you always need to know enough to be able to validate what the system is giving you. It generates results for you, but you need to be able to tell the junk from the accurate. So you can't be lazy.
As the upscaling and the rescaling, the only means to solving the challenges that may rear its head on AI.
When it comes to the workplace as an employment, those are the solutions. The other thing also is that we need to, and there are steps being taken now. For example, we need to slow down a bit of the development. But there's, to some crazy people out there. Like this thing about, self-driving cars and stuff. Imagine a self-driving car in Accra. The way our traffic is. People will run into with these motorbikes and stuff, okay? So you can't take a system like that and bring it here. So we need to kind of like slow down the pace at which we embrace technology. We develop these things. So that's also another one.
But you make the case that it is or it cannot be 100% accurate and reliable. So, for example, it's also possible that we are going to have more accidents if we have every car as a self-driving car, who waits for who stands in what traffic, because this car is calculating for itself, the other is calculating for itself, and that can also be a challenge.
Those risks will always be there. Okay, that's why I'm saying that. Somehow, human beings need to intervene at some point. I'll give you another example. You know what we call a chatbot? These days, you go to a lot of websites, you call call centers, and there's a bot that's speaking to you. Something often happens, and in Ghana, we haven't learned that. You sometimes hear the bot saying, "Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat it?" And say, "Hold on, I'll get somebody to help you." What it's doing is that it's trying to get a human being to intervene. Because it's not programmed to be able to answer the question you're posing or ask. But in Ghana, we don't. We are not seeing that a lot. So you get stuck.
I had a package from New York.
Yes.
Coming to Ghana, I think about last 2 months or so. Yeah. And I had a chat, and I would say this on air, with Delta Airline.
Yes.
A very extensive one, to the point that I was convinced that I could bring the package on board on that flight. I had done the check with the kilos and everything and the payments that we needed to make and so on and so forth. We got to the airport and they said, no, you can't. But I showed them the messages that we had. And somebody actually opened up, you were chatting with a robot.
Yeah.
So the robot couldn't have known this particular one. It just checked the kilos and realized that, well, these kilos can be allowed on board, but not the particular item.
Exactly. So in this case, the robot needs to learn. Remember we were talking about learning earlier. So it learns. So the next time when that's posed, it would answer correctly.
We'll be rounding up soon, but let me ask this one. Somebody says, exactly, the national identification, I think one of the points you had made on the NIA, the National Identification Authority is mandated to gather our data. So the re-registration should have ended at Ghanaians linking their card or Ghana card number to the SIM rather than going through the process of using mobile phones to capture biodata?
That's another conversation. It's getting political and all sorts. We don't want to do that on this show. But the key is that where it's done properly and everything is integrated, it's just one database and everything is referenced.
Somebody says there are types. Are there types of AI?
Yeah, I mean, you hear things like generative AI. I mean, all sorts. That.
But what will be the difference? Is it based on the sector in which you're using, for example, the transport sector or in the banking sector? Or
not exactly. Here, in this case, you want to talk about types. You're talking about the way they work. So, for example, there are some that are only based on the data that's available. It's not a lot of like thinking, and it's not a lot of like generating things from scratch. It's just referencing the data that's in there, for example. So that's one distinction, for example, you would have. I'll give another example. When journalists are doing a story, for example, this is a famous story where in 2014 there was an earthquake. Within 3 minutes, the LA Times had done a news story on the earthquake because the data was there and they just pulled the data. The information was right there. You didn't need anybody on the ground to do it. That's data. But these days, there are some things also that you need to generate it. So it's like based on the prompts that you put in. So those are variations.
Will you be happy to see our parliament, for example, use AI?
Yes. Why not? It will make them more efficient. For example, even in some of the research and things like that. Okay, I know the way they operate. Sometimes when they go to committee meetings, they depend a lot on some experts or some so-called experts to do a lot of the research, be able to brief them on some of these things. AI we can program such tools to be able to help them to be more efficient.
Well, I ask this because there are times we see some things that have come out of Parliament, and they may have to go back to redo it. Sometimes based on maybe the limited research or
even the data
which were not available to them, and so maybe you want to recommend to them.
Well, not necessarily AI, but for example, people will tell you. I have a bit of a legal background. People will tell you that the way that today most of the Ghana our law books are online now, it makes lawyers more efficient. They can easily reference things. When I went to school, university, I was studying law, it was all about books. I had to go to the library to read them and stuff. So it makes people more efficient. The judges can also be up to date. They can just tap and see. It makes it easier.
Is it a safe sector? I mean, I'll come back to that. That's my last question. Is it a safe sector with your legal background that we don't have the regulations for it? Even the basic technology that we are talking about.
There's a lot of risk. Okay. What I would say is that our parliament and our leaders need to engage people in the tech area a lot more. We don't do that enough in this part. They are not coming in. Nobody's coming in to take their jobs. But sometimes, you see, elsewhere, people, as an MP, he's provided a lot of experts, for example, advisors, all sorts of things. So he's always briefed. Here, unfortunately, we don't staff our MPs and people.
Because you see Ted Cruz, for example.
Yes.
Drilling someone based on information, and you don't know how he organized the information. Going on, I mean, referring the people before him to things that they are not, their minds have not even been averted to. But our time is up. Let me just read this last 2 text messages and we can run out of here. Someone says, I've been trying using Earn Money at home and it's not working. What do? I don't know if you know about the Earn Money.
No.
ERNMONY. But let me.
You probably need to tell us about that. But the risk also is we don't want to use this platform to recommend or tell
any
dodgy.
Platform. Right, that's fine. So, hi, good evening. We were arguing just last week at the lecture hall on the same topic, that with how technology is evolving, it might just create unemployment that's replacing humans. But the truth is that it could also create an employment for someone, just as it can cause unemployment. Someone could be employed to service these robots. So it's just a matter of we positioning ourselves and getting ready for it. Ernest from Takrady sent this.
I really like this. And that's how I want to close, okay? I don't believe that any machine or AI will take away your jobs. But your job could be taken by somebody who knows how to use technology. The future of work is not technology or humans, but it's technology and humans working together for more productivity.
Not technology or humans, so no competition, but technology complementary.
Yes.
Technology and humans. Ernest Bodi has been my guest tonight. He's a marketing...
Stephen.
Oh, Stephen. Sorry about that. I have it here. So Stephen Bodi has been my guest tonight. A very educative program tonight. So if you are scared about AI, I'm sure you may have to reposition your mindsets and your thinking for now. He's a marketing consultant, a communications consultant, and a technology consultant, also with a legal background. We are happy to have had you here in the studio tonight. My name is Kwesi Afriyie, and of course, I am your host for The Bottom Line. Good evening.